Good evening. This is April 25th. It's about 11 p.m. And the title of this episode is What a Charmed Life I've Led. Last night I slept a perfect 12 to 8 a.m. Around 8:30 I was looking at the Doppler, etc., and I'm sorry, I have to look at the screen. And I could tell that if patterns persisted, if the motion persisted, I was going to get 5 to 10 inches of rain today. My spillway was overflowing by noon. I actually took a little nap in the afternoon. The rain just finished around a little after 10 p.m. There was a break in the middle. I knew there would be a break before the mass over San Antonio got here. And while that water is much welcome, it's also a source of danger for me. The point of this story is to tell you a little bit about one of the most dangerous snakes in America, the cottonmouth water moccasin, and how my life has been so charmed that I haven't been bitten by one of those mofos. Now, starting this afternoon, because there's a creek that begins at the spillway of that pond, which that pond and I are near the edge of my property. I don't like to live on the road. That's where you pick up the dust, and that's where people are, I have my privacy back here. It also offers a lot of protection because you'd have to be a fool to try to cross that pond in the next 6 or 8 months, and you can't get to me in any other direction on a motorized vehicle. You can only come in one way, and that's the way I'm going to see you. You can't get within 2,000 yards of me without me seeing you or hearing you. I'm going to try to keep this brief. This is about 2 magical moments in my life, of which there have been millions. I've led a charmed life. I really have. Despite all my scars and injuries, it could have been a lot worse. Soon I will turn 65. When I was 15, I didn't think I'd make it to 20 or 25. When I was 20, I didn't know sure I wouldn't make it to 30. When I was 30, I was pretty damn sure I wouldn't make it to 40. And here I am. I had some jerk going like, you live bad and stuff like that. Well, dude, number one, my genetics are different than yours. And number 2, I've already outlived my lifespan according to the stress test that's given to people like me. Actually, my projected lifespan was 50 years. But yet I keep receiving these little blessings in this charmed life. Pardon me. I'm making this just spur of the moment. And I chose red light because it makes me blink a little less. So, beginning yesterday, I'm sure probably already 20 to 30 water moccasins. What they do is they come chasing any animal that may come down the spillway and into the creek. But they also come here to high ground, because in a year when it's wet like this, they fear for their eggs, and they mate in only about a month. They will mate in the next 4 to 5 weeks. And I used to not know their mating cycles, and I had to learn them the hard way. And that's why this will probably be under 8 minutes. This is just about a couple of particular episodes. But my point is that by the time that this water stops running over my spillway sometime tomorrow evening, or by tomorrow, hundreds of snakes will have fled here to the top of the hill. Because this is prime egg-laying territory and hunting territory where they know they won't be flooded. And the water moccasins will come up here because they like to breed on high ground and lay their eggs on high ground, because water suffocates their eggs, which they bury in the ground like other snakes and other reptiles do. Now, to go back a long way, my pond, when it was brand new, very early on, a long willow growing on the edge fell into it and created a little peninsula by trapping debris coming in at that end of the pond. And from that sprouted 8 willow trees that grew to enormous size. And at the base, there's usually some rotten, a raccoon had dug into it. I'm trying to explain why I go into that area. And that raccoon and I had become good friends, and I had become provider of a majority of her protein for her many, many sets of twins and occasional singles. For over 12 years, she reproduced here, produced at least 9 or 10 sets of twins and several singles. And I would check on her nest all the time, make sure she was okay. She had a beautiful nest of this, what was 8 willow trees that had a combined base. They all joined at the base. It was at least 8 foot wide. She had a big den up in there, which she would meticulously, she would actually, coons are so intelligent that she would bring like an armload of cedar twigs, and then she would begin tightly stacking all her bundle of sticks in there so that nothing could get at her. She would interlace them with fresh cedar twigs every day, every night, every day, every morning, to cover her scent. But sometimes when I go to check on it, one day I stepped into the grassy, deep grass that was adjoining on the tip of that peninsula, and I found myself in a writhing, mating mass of water moccasins, at least 40, maybe 60. And they just get it on. I mean, I stepped right in the middle of them, and I froze. Froze solid, man. I was like ice. And I'm going like, why aren't they hitting me? Oh, they're having sex. They're kind of distracted. And even though I had all my weight was forward and everything on that leg, I slowly, it's almost like that time I hit the wet sand up in Yosemite. I lifted my foot gently, and I backed the hell out of there. Okay, so a couple years go by, and once again, around the first week of June, no later than the second, boom, I did it again. I stepped right into another mass of at least 60, maybe 80 mating cottonmouth water moccasins in a very small little area. And once again, I was able to back out. After that, I began to burn the area, etc., and then just completely, once the trees eventually died, I just stopped going to that area at all and stuff, because they prefer that. It gives them great protection, and they're close to water for escape and everything, feeding. But that's what I'm looking at now, is that for the next few days and for the next couple of months, every time I go out of the house, I got to have me a walking stick, and I have to be wearing my glasses, and I have to walk slowly and keep an eye out for the 2 biggest problems are the copperheads, which blend right in with the dead foliage that's still on the ground, and the cottonmouth water moccasins, who will be easing around. And in the next couple of months, they're going to, in the next few weeks, actually, next 5 weeks or so, they're going to mate, and they're going to lay eggs all over the place here because they think it's absolutely safe here, and it is for them. So, that's about it. It's not only did I once, but twice manage to make it out of a mass of writhing, mating, cottonmouth water moccasins. None of you can say that. I challenge any of you to document, or come on here and make a claim that you've twice stepped into a mass of 40 to 60 or more mating water moccasins and were able to step out without getting struck. Actually, in my entire life of handling poisonous snakes and snakes of all kinds and eating them, I've never had a venomous one. I've had some minor bites from snakes that almost don't have any teeth at all. They just eat, but in all my handling, of snakes and so on, I've never been bitten yet. And I've actually, snake stories I could tell and stuff like that. I've actually always killed them, eat them. And on one occasion, I was moving over a log this was up in the, near the port in the Plumas National Forest. A redwood had slid down and was covering the trail, and the trail was actually overburdened. That was carefully stacked by the Chinese. And as I edged over and it was covering that little trail on top of that, all that neatly stacked, flat kind of rock and stuff. And I eased over it. I got to finish telling this because this will be a third one. This is another magical moment. I eased over it, and there was a rattlesnake, and I'm trapped. I'm totally, and it's up, it's wiggling, it's rattling at me and stuff like that. And I just calmly reached, because the side of the hill is right there, was right up against me. I reached over and I grabbed one of the little branches from the redwood tree, pinned it down, and then I reached down and I picked up one of the rocks that made up the trail itself. It was part of the, stacked there by a Chinaman, and like in the 1870s, the second gold rush and stuff. And I smashed its head, and I skinned it and stuff. And as I was actually skinning it right there and stuff, I kind of looked over and realized that all those rocks were full of rattlesnakes that had come out to sun themselves right there. There wasn't just one rattlesnake. There was like at least 20 minimum and stuff. So I've led a charmed life, and every time that some loser who's never been anywhere, hasn't done anything, has never experienced life, they've spent their whole life living in some apartment or HUD housing or some crap like that. They've lived in some crap hole city like Boston or Houston or LA or San Francisco, some shithole their whole life. Dallas, oh gosh, Chicago, Atlanta, just complete crap holes. And that's all you know is concrete and asphalt. You don't know anything of the real world. And the little bit of luck that's come your way hasn't been luck. It's just been, synchronicity. It's just, I've truly led a charmed life up against the wild world where there ain't no rules, and it's winner take all, and eat or be eaten. And so it's been a charmed life, unlike most of you. And just every time I turn around in life, it's one magical moment after another. And here I was just telling you about 3 of them and that's just a few of the many. I mean, we can get into gators, all kind of other stuff, bear, mountain lion, you name it. I'll get to it back some other time. I just want to remind you that I am Thomas Kent Kruger, and I've had an awesome life. And if any jerk ever criticizes me for smoking or getting drunk once a week, says that I live bad, when I know that they sit around, they're lying. They sit around eating GMO crap all day long. They probably consume at least 3 times as much fat as I do. They really don't. They're just, and they're, they take drugs that I wouldn't dare take. Aspirin or garlic. You're fucking nuts. So anyway, it's been a charmed life. My best, my real true friends who are my major fans on here. The rest of y'all, I don't have a clue who you are. At least it looks like the evil chatliners have stopped monitoring my channel and stuff because I don't get as many views as I used to. But just as a reminder, because I'm about to hit 14 minutes. After this, though, I will be going to the topic I want to cover for the rest of my life, which is aliens, ETs, which are actually most of my best of my knowledge, they're actually our cousins. You get me? They're not really alien to us. Superior to us, but not truly alien. Later.